everybody, and thank you so much for joining me here at One Nation Weather, where I'm giving you a look at the Atlantic satellite view for August 15th, 2023. We've also got some Pacific activity to worry about for the West Coast. I've got all the details on that in this video, but starting out with that satellite, you can see clearly some tropical waves pushing east to west across the Atlantic, right in that main development region. And yes, coming out of those, we have two areas of concern. Now, the one further to the west is actually a more, quote-unquote, should-be more developed region for you there, but the one back off towards the east coming off of Africa is actually already getting its act together in a little bit more fashion for us, which is why it actually has a little bit more of an immediate chance of development, which is 30%, as it pushes its way west-northwestward into portions of the Cabo Verde Islands. They're right off the western coast of Africa. The main threats with this for you there are not necessarily tropical storm conditions, but gusts up to around 30-40 miles per hour, along with the consistent rainfall pushing on through. Is definitely some flooding concerns in those areas as we head towards your Thursday, August 17th. The brunt of this system will be pushing right on over, and yes, you will push through the eastern side of that, so wouldn't even be shocked if there's some rotation going on that end as well. As we go towards early morning on Saturday, we get that second system to continue pushing northwest past the Cabo Verde Islands. Notice the initial one is actually now starting to get its act together. What's interesting is that first system out towards the west will actually start pushing northward into the one coming off of the Cabo Verde Islands as we head towards your Sunday, basically meaning that these two systems will kind of force each other to weaken, and we will not see much come out of either one of these entities. As you can see, they're just kind of floating around there in the south central Atlantic. Here's that zoomed out view for your Sunday, August 20th. Nothing really too concerning about these, again, other than those initial impacts to the Cabo Verde Islands. Though some pieces of the energy will work their way west into the Caribbean in the form of some tropical waves. Now, here's a look at those rain totals that could come out of those tropical waves. This is as we head towards August 15th through 25th, so over the course of 10 days, sure, but these are some very heavy downpours pushing through the Lesser Antilles into the Greater Antilles, and yes, into the Bahamas for us here. Anywhere you see a color that's blue or even darker than that, that's where we're looking at least half an inch to an inch of rain. The purples are where you're looking at 2 to 4, but some of those deeper red colors, and even within the purple, I would expect some of the 4 to 6 inch totals of rain to come in over this period of time, and yes, some of it will come down in very quick downpours, which is why I'd worry about some tropical flooding here. The European model has really been hinting at an interesting storm system really developing as we head towards August 22nd, and really it's just been kind of monotone with it, not necessarily showing anything major coming out of it, but nonetheless, some energy in the Gulf that we haven't really been seeing at all this hurricane season, and the GFS continues to its hurricane hopes that it's been having for the last few days. It's been indicating that we could see some sort of development come out of the Caribbean and push on up into the Gulf as we head towards the 300th forecast hour, which is basically as we head almost towards September. So as we head towards late month, we definitely need to monitor these conditions in the Gulf of Mexico. One thing that's been killing storms out in the main development region of the Atlantic as they try to push west and northwest has been the dry air. We've seen plenty of Saharan dust, high-pressure systems sitting out with dry air just filtering in and around them. So really all that does is just take these storms apart. There's dry air entering them at many levels of the atmosphere, and that's just, you need moisture for a tropical storm. You don't need dry air. And the models are now sending some moisture towards the Gulf mid-range, which is why, again, this is a pattern that shows that we are beginning to see conditions become a little bit more ripe, a little bit more favorable for some development, even though the chances are low in the near term. That doesn't mean we're not looking at some stuff down the road. Now, in terms of your named storms, 14 to 21 are now expected in the new Atlantic hurricane season outlook, but I'm about to show you what the previous outlook had showed at the beginning of the season. It was initially 12 to 17 on that. It was initially 5 to 9 hurricanes. Now that's moved up to 6 to 11. 1 to 4 major hurricanes was the expectation in the May press release, and now it's up to 2 to 5. So not major increases, but certainly increasing chances of an above normal season, and we're already beginning to hit that time when you'd expect the tropics to really be ramping up. You can see as right now we're entering the mid-August time frame for us here, which is really when we're making it kind of 50% of the way up that chart for us here. You can see that red line making its peak right around mid-September, which is when we get the most hurricanes to develop, and again, tropical storms also getting in the mix on that, of course. Now, in terms of your Pacific storm that needs West Coast attention, here's your 90% chance of development. It's off the southwestern coast of Mexico for us here, pushing on off, yes, this one too, moving off towards the west and northwest. It's going to be approaching Baja California, places like that, as we go over the course of the next several days. And look at what the GFS model is showing out of this, and really this is what most models are indicating. Hurricane Hillary is likely to form and skim the western coast of the Baja California, really peninsula for us there. So as this pushes on off towards the north and northwest, we're going to see some of those hurricane conditions and those bands grazing the island there, or excuse me, the peninsula there. And this is just going to send a constant stream of moisture northward as it moves on in towards the west coast of the United States as well. You can see the dryer on the western side of it. That's something it's battling, but just that moisture just coming straight out of the south for you there in the Four Corners region, as well as in the west coast. Models hint at a landfall on the west coast. The GFS initially did this. Now it's kind of hopping off board with that at times. The European model's now hopping on board at times, so I think it's definitely something worth watching to see if this were to make a landfall, because it looks like it could do so right around there into the Los Angeles region, which is certainly something we don't want to see with the mountains banking up against that, the range for us there. We don't want to see any sort of flooding or landslides come out of that, but unfortunately, look at this, pretty much the highest chance of extreme precipitation according to the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook from NOAA and the Climate Prediction Center. So that is certainly something we need to watch. Notice that dryer from that dome further east. But there's definitely the chance for several inches of rain to come in, at least 1 to 3 in many communities for us here as this rainfall pushes from south to north, really coming out of California, moving on up into the monsoonal zone there in the Four Corners as well. And here's a look at your chance for direct tropical impacts. I think it's pretty low in general across this region, right along the west coast there, and the Pacific coast from portions of California back on over to the Arizona zone for us. But I do want to watch out for at least the medium chance right in that Los Angeles region for the direct impacts of a tropical system. But what I do think the highest chance is for that chance for the heavy rain just to push on in, regardless of whether the system makes landfall. And it would be weakening as it does, so really winds wouldn't be the primary concern here anyway. But again, any sort of gusty winds we do see are something we do definitely not want to see in addition to that heavy rainfall. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, and comment. And I just wanted to say a quick word about the Hawaii wildfires. I hope everybody in that area is recovering nicely. And I just wanted to add a quick moment of silence on the show here at the end in honor of the people who have fallen in that wildfire. Thanks, everyone. I hope you have a great day, and like and subscribe for more updates like this one.